A critical hurricane is approaching. Flooding and tornadoes are devastating. Wildfires are spreading everywhere. We provide fast and accurate updates. Your Hurricane and Storm Center.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Hurricane and Storm Center. We're glad you're joining us for the latest update on weather conditions across the coastal waters and offshore regions of the United States. In today's report, Monday, August 10th, 2026, we'll take a comprehensive look at current conditions across the Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, the waters off the East Coast, and the Pacific. We'll also focus on what to expect tonight and Tuesday, August 11th, followed by an outlook for the next 5 to 7 days. The main area of concern right now is the Central Pacific, where a tropical disturbance is being monitored for possible development over the coming days, while the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico remain relatively quiet from a tropical cyclone standpoint, with no system currently posing a direct threat to the continental United States. Looking across the waters surrounding the United States, the overall situation remains relatively stable, particularly because there is currently no major tropical storm or hurricane directly threatening the U.S. coastline. However, the Atlantic hurricane season is entering a period when tropical activity typically begins to increase, and several areas of disturbed weather are now being monitored. Across the tropical Atlantic, a tropical wave, accompanied by a broad area of showers and thunderstorms, is moving westward across the tropical waters. The system is not yet organized enough to be classified as a tropical depression, but it remains worth watching because environmental conditions ahead of it could become temporarily more favorable for development. If the system maintains its thunderstorm activity and develops a more defined circulation, gradual organization could occur over the next several days. However, as it approaches the Lesser Antilles, stronger upper-level winds could become a limiting factor, so there is currently no basis for saying that this disturbance will rapidly strengthen into a significant storm or move directly toward the United States. Across the Gulf of Mexico, there is currently no strong tropical cyclone developing or moving directly toward the coastal states of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, or Florida. Weather across much of the Gulf continues to follow a typical summertime pattern, with clusters of showers and thunderstorms developing locally, especially during the afternoon and evening hours. Outside of thunderstorms, winds are generally light to moderate, and marine conditions remain relatively manageable. However, mariners should remember that strong thunderstorms can produce sudden wind gusts, frequent lightning, heavy rainfall, and locally higher waves. Conditions therefore can become dangerous very quickly, even when no named tropical storm or hurricane is present. Along the waters off Florida and across the Caribbean, easterly winds continue to dominate, while scattered tropical showers and thunderstorms remain active. Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands could see additional rounds of showers and thunderstorms tonight and Tuesday. Seas may become moderately choppy at times, particularly in areas affected by stronger winds or thunderstorms. Small craft operators should avoid entering large or rapidly developing thunderstorm cells because winds can increase suddenly, visibility can drop sharply, and seas can become hazardous within a short period of time. Farther north, across the waters off the northeastern United States, a frontal system is moving through the region and will bring noticeable changes in wind direction tonight and Tuesday. Portions of the coastal waters off New England could experience showers, thunderstorms, and areas of fog, resulting in significantly reduced visibility. As the front passes, winds will shift and may become stronger at times, especially on Tuesday. While this is not a tropical system, the combination of wind, waves, and limited visibility could still create difficult conditions for smaller vessels. Now, the most important area to watch in today's report is the Central Pacific. A broad tropical disturbance is being monitored east to southeast of Hawaii. The system is currently producing clusters of showers and thunderstorms, but it does not yet have a well-defined closed circulation or a highly organized structure. However, the atmospheric environment ahead of the disturbance could support further development over the coming days. Forecast guidance indicates that the system may move generally west-northward or northward, bringing it closer to the Hawaiian Islands. The potential for this disturbance to develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm is becoming increasingly significant. It is important to emphasize that the potential for tropical cyclone development does not mean that the system will definitely make landfall in Hawaii. There is still considerable uncertainty regarding both its track and intensity. Small changes in the subtropical ridge, the mid-level steering flow, or upper-level winds could cause the system to shift hundreds of miles from the current projected path. For that reason, we cannot say at this time that Hawaii will definitely experience a direct impact. However, because the disturbance is gradually moving closer to the islands, residents of Hawaii, marine interests, and aviation operators should pay close attention to forecast updates over the next several days.
Tonight, Monday night, August 10th, marine conditions across the Atlantic waters off the northeastern United States will continue to be influenced by the frontal system. Showers and thunderstorms may develop in scattered areas, particularly along and near the frontal boundary. Within stronger thunderstorms, winds could increase rapidly and seas may become significantly rougher than in surrounding areas. Areas of fog could also develop over portions of the coastal waters, reducing visibility considerably. Farther south, including the waters off Florida, winds will generally remain light to moderate, but tropical thunderstorms could still produce strong wind gusts and dangerous lightning. Across the Gulf of Mexico tonight and Tuesday, conditions will remain relatively calm between thunderstorm episodes. Thunderstorm activity is expected to become more numerous during the afternoon and evening, although some cells could persist overnight. Mariners should pay close attention to areas where deep convection is developing, because wind gusts can increase rapidly to hazardous levels. Across the Caribbean, easterly winds will continue, and seas could become moderately choppy across some of the open waters. Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands will continue to have the potential for scattered showers and thunderstorms. Across Hawaii, direct impacts from the disturbance are not expected to be significant during the next 24 hours. However, this is the region that requires the closest monitoring. If the disturbance continues to maintain persistent thunderstorm activity and develops a more defined circulation, the probability of tropical cyclone formation will increase. During Tuesday, August 11th, residents of Hawaii may not yet experience direct tropical storm conditions, but changes in the disturbance east or southeast of the islands will become increasingly important in determining the weather pattern later in the week. Looking ahead over the next 5 to 7 days, tropical activity could increase across both the Atlantic and Pacific. In the Central Pacific, the disturbance near Hawaii remains the system of greatest interest. If organization continues, the system could become a tropical depression or tropical storm sometime around the middle of the week. One scenario that deserves attention is continued movement toward the west-northwest or northwest, bringing the system closer to Hawaii. However, there remains considerable uncertainty in the projected track. The disturbance could turn farther north, move farther south, or weaken before reaching the islands. For that reason, it is too early to conclude that Hawaii will experience a direct hurricane landfall. Across the eastern North Pacific, including waters southwest of Baja California, additional areas of disturbed weather are also being monitored. Some of these systems could gradually organize over the next several days, although many are expected to remain over open water and move away from the western United States. Even so, increasing tropical activity in this region could contribute to higher surf, larger waves, and dangerous rip currents along portions of the California coast and Baja California. Across the Atlantic, the tropical wave moving westward could become somewhat better organized during the first part of the week. As it approaches the Lesser Antilles, however, environmental conditions may become less favorable for development. Additional tropical disturbances could also emerge from the region near the west coast of Africa and move into the tropical Atlantic during the coming days. This is an important trend to monitor because the Atlantic hurricane season is gradually approaching its climatological peak when tropical activity typically becomes more frequent and potentially more significant. For the continental United States, the current level of direct threat from a tropical storm or hurricane remains low. There is no strong tropical cyclone currently moving toward the East Coast, the Gulf Coast, or Florida. However, this does not mean that all U.S. coastal waters are safe from hazardous weather. Thunderstorms, lightning, sudden wind gusts, heavy rainfall, fog, and locally rough seas can still create dangerous conditions for mariners, even in the absence of a named tropical cyclone. So, as we look ahead to tonight and Tuesday, August 11th, 2026, there are currently no clear indications of a tropical cyclone making a direct landfall along the continental United States. The Atlantic is under observation because of developing tropical waves. The Gulf of Mexico continues to face the threat of localized thunderstorms. The waters off the northeastern United States will be affected by a frontal system, and Hawaii has become the area requiring the closest attention because of the tropical disturbance developing to the east and southeast of the islands. Over the next 5 to 7 days, conditions could change quickly. If the disturbance near Hawaii becomes better organized, we could see the development of a new tropical system in the central Pacific. At the same time, tropical activity over the Atlantic may begin to increase. Hurricane and Storm Center will continue monitoring changes in position, intensity, atmospheric structure, convection, and forecast guidance, so we can bring you the latest information as soon as significant developments occur. If you live in Hawaii, Florida, along the Gulf Coast, or anywhere along the U.S. East Coast, continue monitoring local weather information in official alerts as they are issued. And if you are operating a vessel anywhere across U.S. coastal waters, always check the latest marine forecast before heading offshore, especially when thunderstorms or tropical disturbances are nearby.
Good evening, everyone. Here is the latest nationwide weather update for tonight and Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. Regional weather forecast Northeast. The Northeast will remain under a warm and humid weather pattern tonight and Tuesday. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will develop across portions of New York, Pennsylvania, New England, and the surrounding areas, particularly during the late afternoon and evening hours. Some thunderstorms may produce locally heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, and gusty winds. Overnight, areas of low clouds and fog may develop near the coast and across portions of New England. On Tuesday, temperatures will generally range from the upper 70s to upper 80s, with warmer readings possible across inland areas. The combination of heat and humidity will make conditions feel noticeably warmer, while locally heavy rainfall could create brief ponding and minor flooding in areas affected by stronger thunderstorms. Regional weather forecast Southeast. The Southeast will remain hot, humid, and unsettled tonight and Tuesday. Scattered to numerous thunderstorms will continue across Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Some storms may produce torrential downpours, frequent lightning, and strong wind gusts. Localized flash flooding will remain possible, particularly in urban areas, low-lying locations, and places that receive repeated thunderstorms. Tuesday will bring widespread temperatures in the upper 80s to middle 90s, with heat index values locally reaching or exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit across parts of Florida, southern Georgia, and the Gulf Coast. Afternoon and evening thunderstorms will become more numerous as daytime heating combines with abundant tropical moisture. Regional weather forecast Midwest. The Midwest will experience a more active weather pattern tonight and Tuesday as warm, humid air interacts with several areas of instability. Tonight, scattered thunderstorms may develop across portions of Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana. Some storms could produce heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, and strong wind gusts. On Tuesday, additional thunderstorms are expected, especially during the afternoon and evening hours. A few storms could become strong to locally severe, with damaging wind gusts, large hail, and isolated tornadoes remaining possible. Heavy rainfall may also result in localized flooding, particularly where thunderstorms repeatedly move over the same areas. Residents should monitor local weather alerts as conditions evolve. Regional weather forecast Great Lakes. The Great Lakes region will remain unsettled tonight and Tuesday. Scattered thunderstorms may develop across Wisconsin, Michigan, northern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, with some storms capable of producing heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, and strong wind gusts. Tuesday afternoon and evening could bring additional rounds of thunderstorms as warm and humid air remains in place. Temperatures will generally rise into the upper 70s and 80s, with some lower 90s possible across southern portions of the region. Boaters should remain alert for rapidly changing conditions, especially near thunderstorms, where winds can increase suddenly and waves can become hazardous. Regional weather forecast: Plains/Central Plains. The plains will remain under a warm and increasingly unstable weather pattern tonight and Tuesday. Tonight, isolated to scattered thunderstorms may develop from Nebraska and Kansas into Oklahoma and parts of the Dakotas. Some storms could produce strong wind gusts, large hail, frequent lightning, and locally heavy rainfall. On Tuesday, additional thunderstorms are expected, particularly across the central and northern plains, as warm, humid air remains firmly established. While widespread severe weather is not expected everywhere, a few stronger storms could produce damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes. Heavy rainfall may also result in localized flooding, particularly where thunderstorms repeatedly move over the same areas. Regional weather forecast: Southwest. The Southwest will remain hot and mostly dry across the lower desert regions tonight and Tuesday. Clear to mostly clear skies will dominate Arizona, southern Nevada, and southeastern California during the overnight hours. On Tuesday, temperatures will remain well above seasonal averages, with readings commonly reaching 100 degrees Fahrenheit to 110 degrees Fahrenheit across lower desert valleys. Extreme heat will remain a concern, particularly across urban and desert communities. Isolated afternoon and evening thunderstorms may develop over the higher terrain of Arizona and New Mexico, producing lightning, gusty outflow winds, and localized heavy rainfall. Even limited rainfall could generate sudden runoff and localized flash flooding across normally dry washes and low-lying terrain. Regional weather forecast: Rockies. The Rockies will experience a combination of sunshine, afternoon clouds, and scattered mountain thunderstorms tonight and Tuesday. Isolated storms may continue across portions of Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana during the evening before weakening overnight. On Tuesday afternoon, additional thunderstorms are expected over the higher terrain, especially across Colorado and New Mexico. A few storms could produce small hail, gusty winds, frequent lightning, and brief periods of heavy rainfall. Temperatures will remain seasonable to slightly above average across many valleys and foothill communities, while higher elevations remain cooler. Regional weather forecast: Northwest. The Pacific Northwest will remain generally dry and relatively warm tonight and Tuesday, although some marine clouds and low-level moisture may develop along the coast. Washington, Oregon, and Idaho will experience mostly clear to partly cloudy conditions away from the immediate coastline. On Tuesday, temperatures will rise across many inland locations, with upper 70s and 80s common and locally warmer conditions possible across eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, and southern Idaho. Dry weather will continue to increase wildfire concerns, particularly where vegetation remains dry and afternoon winds become stronger. Coastal communities will remain cooler due to marine influence. Regional weather forecast: West Coast. The West Coast will generally remain dry tonight and Tuesday, with the greatest influence from coastal marine clouds and fog. Along the California coast, low clouds and fog will redevelop overnight and may persist into Tuesday morning before gradually breaking up in some areas. Inland California will remain considerably warmer, with Central Valley temperatures commonly reaching the 90s and locally approaching or exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Southern California deserts will remain much hotter, while coastal communities experience milder temperatures. Dry conditions will continue across much of the region, keeping wildfire conditions elevated in areas where fuels are dry and winds increase. Regional weather forecast: Alaska. Alaska will continue to experience a mixture of clouds, showers, and occasional periods of sunshine tonight and Tuesday. Scattered rain showers will affect portions of western and central Alaska, while some southern and southeastern areas experience quieter conditions. Tuesday may bring additional periods of rain to northern and western sections, with clouds and cooler conditions dominating much of the interior. Temperatures will vary considerably across the state, with milder conditions possible in southeastern Alaska and cooler weather across portions of the interior and western regions. Localized heavier showers may occur where moisture and instability come together. Regional weather forecast: Hawaii. The Hawaiian Islands will continue to experience a typical trade wind weather pattern tonight and Tuesday. Passing showers will favor the windward slopes and coastal areas, especially across the Big Island, Maui, Oahu, and Kauai. Leeward locations will generally remain drier, although brief showers cannot be ruled out.
Moderate trade winds will continue across the islands, with locally breezy conditions possible, particularly through exposed channels and mountain gaps. Tuesday will feature a mixture of sunshine and passing clouds, with brief showers becoming more frequent along windward and mountain areas. Temperatures will remain seasonable, generally in the lower to middle 80s at lower elevations.
A critical hurricane is approaching. Flooding and tornadoes are devastating. Wildfires are spreading everywhere. We provide fast and accurate updates. Your hurricane